5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, March 27th. Jordan, start us off with a roll call, please.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Foberg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Reif. Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold. Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup.
Present.
Mayor Shoneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. First order of business will be to approve this week's agenda as printed and distributed. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Foberg and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we've got the approval of minutes for last week's meeting, which took place on March 20th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Liebelt, second from Councilman Ronayne. Any changes or additions or anything like that that needs to happen to these minutes? All right, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. I just checked the little list in the back to take a look for open forum speakers and didn't see anyone had signed up, so we will move along to our consent calendar where we've got 7 items of routine city business, including nominating petition for our very own Rob Ronayne, licenses, plats, request for street use, lottery notice, assignment of a private area hangar, lease, as well as reports and minutes for various boards. Can I get a motion to approve that consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I abstain.
Motion carries with 1 abstention. We will move along to our new business where we first got a public hearing and possible approval or denial of a resolution number 230304R, which annexes certain properties described as 1.98 acre parcel of land adjacent to north lot line of Lot 1, Erickson Teagan addition to the city limits, which is physically located at 115 Brown County 19 South. Brett, can you cue us up with the discussion on what that annexation is all about, please?
Sure. The petition is requesting this annexation in order to replat the property into 2 lots, rezone it, and then utilize it for commercial development. City water, sewer, stormwater is currently adjacent to the property and will be sufficient to provide for the proper development. Staff recommends approval of this annexation.
I'll move to approve it.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Ronayne. Mr. Altman, I see you back there. Anything to add? All right then, Jordan, would you give us a roll call?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the public hearing and possible approval or denial. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Good to see you. Of a resolution titled 230305R, which annexes certain property described as a 3.6 acre lot and a 3.8 acre lot adjacent to the east side of Roosevelt Street North, just south of 8th Avenue Northeast to the city limits of Aberdeen, physically located at 2520 8th Avenue Northeast, as well as 578 North Roosevelt Street. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The proposed annexation is by Stacy Gossman and requests to voluntarily annex 2 vacant lots adjacent to Roosevelt Street North, south of 8th Avenue Northeast. The purpose of the annexation is to allow for development from the city planning and zoning. The city water and sewer currently exist adjacent to the property in public rights of way and would be sufficient for proper development. No preliminary or final development plans were submitted by Mr. Gossman with the petition. For the council's information, each petition lot is the licensed premise for separate retail on-sale liquor licenses issued by Brown County. Those are licenses number RL 26086 and RL 5733. Those, again, are on-sale liquor licenses by the county. Annexing the lots will transfer jurisdiction of the 2 licenses to the city of Aberdeen. and bring to 32 the total number of retail on-sale liquor licenses in the city limits. By statute, limits the number of retail on-sale licenses the city may have totals 22. But another statute permits a municipality to exceed the limitation if it annexes property that carries another jurisdiction's license with it. As the council is aware, an annexation is particularly a voluntary annexation, is a discretionary act on the part of the council. The council may deny the annexation, may approve the annexation, may approve the annexation with conditions, restrictions. In fact, SDCL 9-4-1.1 provides that a municipality may enter into an agreement with any landowner specifying the conditions under which the property may be annexed or developed. Mr. Gossman is here. I wanted to inform the council that I have visited with Mr. Gossman, and he has indicated that he would like to do some, try to open some businesses on these properties, but again, no development plans were submitted. The council may inquire of Mr. Gossman if he has specific plans for these 2 lots. And another option the council may consider is to annex 1 lot only as opposed to both lots. If that's the case, then we would need additional time to prepare resolutions. So the council has a number of options. Again, the one option would be to request specific plans from Mr. Gossman, including a timeline as to when he intends to put in place whatever those plans might be, and then the council at a later date could determine whether it chooses to annex.
Do you need a motion at this time, Mayor?
Yes, we do.
I would move that we deny the petition for annexation.
I would second that.
Well, I've got a motion and a second to deny this annexation from Councilman Ronayne and Councilwoman Liebelt. How about some discussion on the topic then? Go ahead, Rob.
So, and of course, the motion I made simply so that we could have the opportunity to visit about this. You know, I would love to see development on those lots. But if the intention is to simply bring those licenses into the city and have them transferred to another location, I'm not very interested in that. I would hate to be party to that. So I would be very open to following the process that the city attorney mentioned, where we throw this back into Mr. Gossman's lap, and if he does come to us with a specific proposal and a timeline, and if there's actually going to be development there, this is within a mile of my home. I'd love to have a restaurant or a bar or something operating there. I think it would be terrific. But I think we do need something more concrete. We're being asked to bring in 2 county licenses, and I think before we do that, we would want to move slowly.
Anyone else from the council have any input?
I think that if Mr. Gossman would bring in 1 or 2 plans for development, we would certainly consider annexation if everything worked out well. We're not against business. We'd love to have some more business, but in good faith, we would consider if the proper documentation was brought in. My opinion.
Councilwoman Langer?
Yes, I am just curious. Is there an idea for specific business or any idea at all on any of? Okay.
Stacy, go ahead and have
Yeah, I am
podium.
very interested in this. So I mean, I would like
Make
to
sure
make sure
the little green light is on in the bottom there.
that that's really made clear. I think I haven't had time to have more than a few conversations about this, which normally something like this I would make several calls on. So I'm just curious because I am very interested in this concept, and I am very interested.
I totally understand what you said and what Ms. I totally understand what you guys are saying. And
and I had a conversation about this situation. How many other times has annexation happened on liquor licenses in the last 20, 25 years? And how many times have those people been asked the same questions that you're asking me? One other thing is, too, how many of those liquor licenses are in the same places? None. Remember that, okay? I do have plans for businesses over there. Do I wanna develop them? No. And the reason why, I've got 4 different things going on right now. I got stuff going on outside Big Fellows. I own Big Fellows also, and I do have one other liquor license too that I can also bring into town also. Or you can either put it in or not. But it doesn't stop the fact that I own it, have it canned, everything else in investments. Is it my fault or anybody else's fault for that matter? COVID it. Is it my fault or anybody else's fault for the fact that we can't do help? Have I had plans out at Big Fellas and right next door to Big Fellas? I bought the land right next door to me, put up a place called Natural Business and another place called, Farm Pig. Well, I'll do it, and then it's in my garage. You guys don't think I got plans, so once a month, take a look. Other than that, I don't have nothing on paper. I'm not smart, obviously, you guys know that. Just remember what I said, but you can't stop me from doing what I want in the town. Numbers of tax base that you're putting out. That's all I got to say.
Hold on, while you're up there, does anyone from the council have any questions? for
Well, I
Susan?
do.
On one lot, I will say this, on the one lot, I'm planning on putting in food trucks and everything else and having a venue and stuff like that for people that can't afford to be on Main Street or anything else because they can't afford brick and mortar. Like what's his name down there, he's, down there that has the tacos and stuff, running his place, which is a great idea, for the food trucks and things like that. Nobody's got a place. You know, I guess I invested my money.
Well, I do think you're incredibly smart. I don't know you personally, but it takes somebody to be incredibly smarter to hire and know people who are smart to do things like this. So I applaud that. I mean, I think that this is a great concept.
I not only invested, excuse me, I'm sorry,
You're okay.
I not only invested money in liquor licenses, I also invested money in property over there. You know, I want you to remember that also. I invested a lot of money in the Brown County. I invested a lot of money in Aberdeen. You know, I can't understand, I really can't understand you trying to stop progress. You know, I mean, if this is all about flooding the market with liquor licenses, or any of that for that matter, or people thinking that this is gonna dilute the value of those, you would not believe what I've been offered for liquor licenses. Think about that too.
Well, as someone
You're gonna lose.
who has held a liquor license in other states and has seen the processes and how they work and thinks that they're much easier and make more sense, I respect and understand the processes that we have for liquor. I think that from my conversations with my fellow council members, our biggest reservation on this is that we do have a process that we follow, and we've made that easier with the state, doing what they've done, with restaurants, and we've watched several of our restaurants be able to do that. I guess my only questions on this is my opinion is to not make a decision on this today. So I just want to let you know that.
I appreciate it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not yelling at anybody or pissed off or mad at anybody. I talked to the gentleman up there, I can't see his name tag from here.
Ron.
Him and I talked, I think he eats at my place, I even promised him I'll wash my hands next time he comes.
Yeah.
I mean, I got no problem, I got no problem with anybody on this council, I just want you guys to know that, I got a ton of money invested in this.
Well, and I'm just wanting to.
I go over there only on a little bit smaller scale, and I'm just trying to, send my soldiers out, and like, what's his name, the ball dude says, excuse me, offend me by saying that, but on a shark tank.
Guy with the head of hair.
Send the soldiers out, to make some more. If I guess if there's
My question.
If wrong, I guess then I don't, you might as well throw whatever.
We don't have to make a decision on something like this today. My question is that if we were to decide to look at this and move forward with some types of stipulations attached to them, because I'm a firm believer that not everything is black and white, and that if we want to make progress, sometimes we have to be more open-minded.
Can I say one more thing? And this
Of course.
probably clarify something that maybe that he wants to know, or Mr. Romaine would like to understand. I separated all my property up the way I did for reasons. I bought all the property up next to Big Fellas for reasons. Annexation was in my plans, yes. Is annexation in my plans now? Yeah. Was it 10 years ago? Not at that time right away, no. I'm 55 years old. I can't get no help. I can't even take a leak on a Friday or Saturday because I can't even drill. What am I supposed to do? What do you want from me? I I mean, as far as the plans go, I can only do so much, and I mean, right now, I wanna go back to Maryland. I mean, if that's wrong, I guess I'm just being honest. If there's anything else anybody wants to say, I just want to hear more questions.
Councilwoman?
Mr. Mayor, I'm just, I appreciate that you're looking at creating new businesses, Stacy, and I'm curious, I just would like, I agree with what Tiffany's saying about taking our time. Because I wanna make sure that we're having the same kinds of rules for everybody, right?
Why wasn't the rules followed 20 years ago?
Well, that's where I think,
I'm
there,
not saying that I'm not sneaking underneath that crack in the bottom of that floor, but you can all see that there's some light underneath that door, and that's how I get in a lot of places, and I've done that my whole life, because I have to. But, what I did was I didn't remember that.
so what I'd like to think about is, how have things changed? And I think Councilman Northrup was on the state legislature when that law was passed that enabled restaurants to get new liquor licenses, and that's, I believe, Ron, how we got to 30 instead of 22 in addition to annexations.
The restaurant licenses that we have are separate from those retail
Restaurant
on sale.
licenses, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I almost forgot about this too. I was probably one of the first ones that ever bought a restaurant license from the Scottish, right? So it doesn't, I was one, in that scenario, I think I was probably the first and second person to buy it.
So we
So
have,
Is it my intention to spend money and create, did I not create another $100,000, worth of money for you guys to spend on these taxes? I mean, I'm just trying to, I mean, on a smaller scale than some other people are, but, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that, I mean, it's a big guy, I usually do one there. So other than
But,
that,
Ron.
I have nothing else to say, but I totally respect your opinion and go do it.
thanks. So
Go
Ron,
ahead, Tiffany.
there's 30 that are liquor licenses, and then how many restaurant on top of that?
I think Mary's chart showed either 2 or 3 restaurant licenses that we've issued.
Oh, I think it's more because 322
322 just made one
Mulligan's,
last week.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, you
Buffalo
know
Wings
what,
are-
you're right.
Mulligan's was not, Mulligan's changed its status.
But Mulligan's switched
Yeah.
with that, so they now have a restaurant liquor license.
Well, Mary's
Also, one other thing.
spreadsheet is showing 2 restaurant licenses.
Two restaurant licenses, plus,
Everybody answers in these licenses, that's just the way it is. I've done it from that to
Well, and am I?
I'm not
Go ahead,
saying
Tiffany.
that-
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt them.
No, you're okay. I appreciate your excitement on this, and I feel like I'm talking to myself actually a little bit with how excited you are. And so I want you to understand that I'm not, and I've spoken to several council members, I'm not saying no in any way, shape, or form. I don't think we have to make a decision on this today. I do want to do more due diligence on it. I think I'd be doing a disservice if I haven't. I spent 80 hours on something that I wasted my time on. So, I mean, I really care about this.
I got no problem with that, you can take as much time as you want.
Are you available? I'll give you my phone number. I'd love to talk to you outside of this. I've never spoken to you about
One other
this.
thing I wanna say one more thing, just so you guys don't know, I didn't mean that my time is limited in business or in life. I am gonna cook for a while, and I can wash my hands for, for all you. Other than that, it's no big deal, it's not a big deal.
Well, and I just want to make sure that I understand everything, and I know everyone keeps referring to history of things that are happening. I'm not from here. I've only lived here for 7 years, so I need to appreciate the history to understand why it needs to change or why it shouldn't change. I just don't want to do a disservice to the city of Aberdeen and the people who voted for me by just saying yes or no when I haven't even gotten to speak to you or hear anything about your plans or the other, liquor license owners in this town, which they've spent a ton of money on, and I very much respect that as well. It is quite a task to acquire those. So, yeah.
Two things I want to know about liquor licenses, number one, I've been offered a ton of money for the ones that I do have.
I would guess you have.
And number two, I'm telling you right now, downtown is not gonna sell those licenses again, so what they're selling, they're gonna go up in price. So I'm actually creating, more revenue for that also. It's just, if you got paper like this here, that's what I got hanging on my wall, that I have to renew every year. I've been doing it for 7 or 10 years, alright? It would be great hanging on some other wall. That's all.
Anything else for Stacy? Go ahead, Dave.
I agree with Councilwoman Langer and Foberg about taking our time, because I'm not for just outright in denial, but I'm also not in favor of just granting the petition. Like Ron talked about, we can put some restrictions on like how fast you can sell it or something, and I don't know what that answer is or what that looks like, but I think taking our time and figuring out how to balance the current licenses out there, and yeah, just trying to figure out what is best for the community and the license holders.
I could have done it, I'm sorry to interrupt you, that's just my brain. I'm kinda short, my memory's kinda short term, and I got a lot that comes out this whole at one time, and the brain's not very big, but, I just dumbfounded on, I mean, I could name off places that have been annexed in, and licenses are,
Well,
and that's all I wanted to know.
Well, I think
well,
that's
I
part of it.
understand that, but I wasn't on the council until July 1, and
Licenses came in when I was under, when I was young, but I just know I didn't.
and I was on the legislature when they did the restaurant license, and our licensing in South Dakota is better, but it's still kind of a mess compared to, I'm sure, Tiffany's experience from other states. But I mean, we are where we are, and we have to function within the rules, because that's not up to the city, that's up to the legislature, how to format that. But I mean, we do have some choices as a city council, and I think just taking our time, and this is the first full discussion we've had as a council on this, so I think we just need to take our time.
I could have brought one in later year, and I could have brought another one, I'm trying to say, I could have not the one that brought like everybody else did, but I didn't, I brought them both out at the same time.
Tiffany?
The thing I love about South Dakota and all the aspects of legislative down to us is that we do have the ability to change things that were done incorrectly and try to move forward and do things correctly or in new innovative ways. And I feel like since this council has continually changed, we've been looking at things like that. So am I able to move to table this as a secondary motion and then we vote on both, or how does that work? Because I would like to move that we table this, and I'd like to give us 2 weeks.
Ron, what has happened with his, after he has to be voted on negatively?
Second.
first?
It takes
A
precedence.
motion to table would take primary over
precedence.
the primary motion.
Okay, sounds good. So we've got a motion to table this for a period of what time?
2 weeks give us, wait, well, if we do 2 weeks, does that move us into the meeting that we don't have?
Right, you'd have to move it to the
So it'd be the 17th
17th.
of April.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
for a
Councilwoman.
point of clarification, I don't think we have to vote on the tabling, but can we put together a list of questions that we have? So that we can have a more meaningful discussion 2 weeks from now? Cause like I have a question about whether that north lot's, could you ever get a driveway to a business there?
Well, and maybe if we table it to that third meeting, what we can do is as a council email our questions. So then, because we're not able to talk, right, outside of to each other and then the four, and then maybe if some of us have the same questions, we can present those with you.
For the entrances and the exits of those properties, they've already been talked to, I've already talked to the owner, in front of me, and also Stuart. They've given me an access on the north property to exit in, but not exit out because of right when you pull out to if you were to head to the south, we'd have to go across
I was just thinking more of the questions. If we all have questions, we could
Right.
submit them, and then and then you submit them back, and then they get to all of us. So that way
I don't
we're
have
not.
anything on paper as far as like any plans or anything that you're worried about as far as that goes. I just know that, everything that I've done as far as like what you're, I can't.
Well, no, I just learned my lesson, unfortunately, the incredibly hard way, where I've had several conversations over and over and over and over. So I don't want to take an hour of your time to have you answer a million questions that I have that maybe they have, and then I have to play telephone. So what I'm suggesting is that we send all of our questions to the mayor or to Joe or whoever. Everybody has a deadline to submit our questions. He will then submit those to you. You can answer them to the best of your ability, including, I don't have plans, leave me alone about this. Literally, I don't care how you word it to us, but then you send it to all of us so we have the answer, so we're equally prepared for that meeting on the 17th versus a million phone calls to each other.
So Rob, did you
If
say
that
that you were
works.
going to second that motion?
I did second that motion.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we've got a
Guess
motion
we
to
can't really be
table this.
discussing right now.
2 weeks from now, we have no meeting.
17th.
weeks, so the 17th.
So-
Alan has a question.
Go ahead, Councilman
Yeah,
Johnson.
thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say, I appreciate that you are a conceptual guy. You have an idea and it drives you. And as we develop our questions and channel them to you for a response, I just think of all the enterprises that have been built just by writing something down on a napkin, right? And there are legit businesses, billion-dollar businesses have been built that way. It would strengthen your position if you could have something that would be actionable for yourself and for us to consider. So I wanted just to offer that idea to you. 3 weeks, perhaps there could be something tangible in writing that we could review. That would be very useful.
I agree. I mean, my whole thing with everything in writing and trying to bring up, and a friend of mine and I are going through something that he's having built right now, and he's gonna cut my $2,500 on having this all drawn up, and I think, which is a great deal. And you can ask Rob here, I mean, how I do stuff, I mean, I'll go up there with a crayon, a piece of paper, and that's how I've always done it. Am I wrong? When I built big fellas, I'm not kidding, that's how I do it up. I'm Jeff, it's been 22 years. No, and that's, I mean, I just don't, I spend the money on how I'm taking some of the tightwad, but I'm like.
Yeah, I'm not saying,
I can write it down and draw it out for you, but, and do it that way, but I graduated 59 out of 62 and never figured special education, so I'm not asking a lot of bucket, I'm kidding, I'm positive luck.
yeah.
That's true though, you can have all you want, me to do stuff, yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Stacy. Appreciate your willingness to involve yourself in the dialogue moving forward, so that we can hopefully get to a good answer on this thing. So 3 weeks from now, we'll take the motion to table here momentarily. But I appreciate you joining us and answering those questions. Nate, if you want to make your way, it looked like you had something to share as well. Go ahead.
Now that Mr. Gosner involved me, I'll just get involved. I am friends with Stacy. I admire his effort. Anybody comes to the community and businesses and they know how hard it is. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is. It's been a struggle the last couple of years, but ultimately, I'm just coming from investment standpoint and a retail liquor license holder in multiple locations, and you know, nobody ever wants anything taken away from them or devalued or anything like that. So I just really want to know how this process is going to go forward based on from a current holder standpoint, and somebody that just went through the process of buying a restaurant license for $100,000 as opposed to getting another piece of ground and going to the county route or whatever it might be. Not saying that this is trying to do any shape or form, but just more or less what this process is for the rest of us that are holding these licenses, figuring out, wow, the value's X today, but then if this happens, it drops to Y. Obviously, that's kind of right? From a business standpoint, there should be some sort of communication on what this process is going to be. Just some sort of kind of formal communication.
So Nate, you guys have bought a.
One thing right next to him, I mean, if it's.
One second first. Nate, have you bought a city liquor license from a private individual recently? Not recently.
Well, we just bought the transferred to 322 certain situation.
I was trying to get a handle on the going rate of the pure liquor licenses that are in the private market now. I hear figures about 150,000. Is that about where it's at?
I would say it's probably even higher than that, maybe. That's what I wanna say. We, and speaking in Atkins, design the fabrics, that complex of napkin and loggers is pretty flat. But at the end of the day, to get a license and do that type of business, yeah, we did that was a long time ago, but as far as licenses go, we feel comfortable between 150 and 2. I think the last one that was purchased not too long ago was higher than that.
Sure. Thanks for joining us, Nate. Appreciate your insight. Stacy, you had a word.
I'm just gonna tell him that, I mean, I could bring proof of what about my 150.
The city licenses. All right, so we've got a motion, we've got a second to table this for a period of 3 weeks, hopefully get some questions answered. Any other discussion before we take that vote? All right, Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. We'll reconvene on this one in 3 weeks' time. If anyone from the council has any particular questions, comments, or concerns, we can field those things in the median. Stacy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your input on it. We'll move along to our public hearing and possible approval or denial of a resolution number 230307R for annexation to certain property described as a .13 acre highway lot located at southeast corner of intersection of 8th Avenue and Roosevelt Street. Brett?
Since we're in the process of annexing, we thought we'd throw this one in too. Figure this a little easier.
How many liquor licenses does it have?
You know, I don't think there's any on this one because the city owns it. And it's a highway lot, and it's a right of way. And since it's a platted lot, we just figured we should annex it in just to make it clean. Staff recommends approval.
It is a ditch.
Yeah, I saw the picture of it.
Move to approve.
Very valuable ditch.
Second.
I've got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, second from Councilman Liebelt. Any questions for Brett Bill? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got a public hearing. Possible approval for a special one-day retail on-sale malt beverage license, which will occur on March 31st at the Amateur Hockey Association at North Dakota Country Fest at the Civic Arena, right across the road at 203 South Washington Street, which is including a request for a community event permit at the same time and place. Can I get a motion to approve that on-sale malt beverage license?
Not if they're gonna call it North Dakota.
I know, I was like, I don't understand that.
It's a group out of North Dakota that sends these
Oh.
country acts around.
All right, then I'll move to approve.
It's the Strawberry Line Wine Lady, the 90s singer. I can't remember what her name is, but it'll be a great show next week. So Councilwoman Fauberg, did I get a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Fauberg and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. He did actually speak up on that one. Anything from the council? Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we got a possible approval to license to permit sign encroachment overhanging right-of-way abutting 719 Main Street North. Ron, will you tell us about that one?
Yes, I will, Mr. Mayor. This is one of those requests for an encroachment in the right-of-way that we see often when businesses are looking at either replacing or doing major repairs to one of their signs. I misspoke in the council action request and said that they were looking to replace. That's not correct. They're looking to reface it, essentially, and to do some major work on it. But it did implicate the encroachment, and so we wanted to formalize that with the license, and city administration would recommend approval of the encroachment.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Anyone with any questions about this sign? Go ahead,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman.
How does it work in terms of the size of the sign? If we approve the encroachment, can they put a sign there the exact same size? Or are they now limited by, because I can't imagine that's a standard size sign.
It is not. They are permitted to utilize the same size or smaller.
And do the
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
do the little saucers on the top count as part of the size of the sign?
They do not.
That's the saucer clause. we
The
often
saucer
refer
clause.
to.
One more question. Is that about 4 times the size of a sign, of a normal sign that you would, a brand new sign that you would approve for a lot on Main Street?
It's larger. I can't say if it's 4 times or not because I'm not sure the size of the sign.
It's a big sign.
It's a big sign, but it's a sign that's been there for ever.
But it might not have saucers anymore.
It might not, and it might.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilman Johnson.
thank you. So is it true that at issue is the portion that overhangs the sidewalk, not the rest of the sign?
Yes, just the part that's going within the public right of way.
Right, the pointed part in the image that we see there.
Yeah.
That overhangs. And Ron, you were saying that it isn't truly being replaced, it's being refaced, so using the same frame
Yes,
as before?
they're gonna use the same
It's just
structure.
gonna be updated?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Shouldn't be a problem, yeah.
wish I could tell you more, but that's all I know.
Yeah, it's gonna remain Scotty's, I believe.
Just be modernized.
Sprucier. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead,
Are
Councilman.
there, I don't know this ordinance, so you have to help me. Is there rules about like the brightness of the sign or anything like that, since there's houses right across the street?
When we did the digital sign ordinance 3 years ago, 2 years ago, there's a section in there that talks about lumens. Can only be so many lumens.
So
You
illumination.
count those?
The brightness is a consideration in what they do to upgrade it.
And is there a rule about the brightness at different
yeah.
times of day and night?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll be happy. Thank you.
I can also help answer a little bit of that because I have personal experience with this. Is if you have a sign that changes color,
Mhm.
the color can only change so many seconds. So,
We didn't want David giving people seizures.
So this could be like a Dectronic sign that they put there?
Not in this zoning district, no, not without variance from the board of zoning adjustment. And they're not planning on putting that type of sign in.
Okay, thank you.
They released some renderings of the facility upgrade on their Facebook page, which you might find interesting. I think it includes a picture of the sign, which looks like a sprucier version of this. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
But were there saucers?
I think there were, yeah.
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got a recommendation to accept bids as well as to purchase 3 fleet vehicles. One is an F-350 year 2023 from Pearson Ford for $50,200. One or two of which are 2023 Dodge Durango PPVs from the Aberdeen Chrysler Center at a price of $38,648 per piece. Joe?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As we always do, we put out a list of vehicles for possible purchase each year, and as has been the case the last couple of years, the results have been pretty minimal. We looked at a couple of different types of police vehicles, and then I think 3 different types of general fleet vehicles, and as you can see, we just got 2 individual bids. So we do have 2 proposed actions here. One is to purchase a pickup for Public Works from Pearson Ford, and then the 2 Durangos from Aberdeen Chrysler. They fit within our fleet plan. We've budgeted them. Just an interesting thing is on the pickup, this is the 4th time we have bid this vehicle now since 2021. So, and we're only going to get one because that's all we can get. We're starting to get a backlog here in a couple of years. We'll see what this looks like, but staff recommends approval of these 3 vehicles.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Any questions from the council?
What is a PPV?
That means a police package
I
vehicle.
wondered, okay.
And for some of the new people on this council, it might be interesting for you to realize that when I first got on here, all of our vehicles were coming from the western or central part of the state, and now nearly 100% of our vehicles purchased are from Aberdeen. So we've definitely, and Joe's definitely taken the initiative to make sure that we're able to secure the pricing we need and also to purchase from local vendors when possible. Jordan, roll call, please.
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the recommendation to accept Bid for rodent and pigeon control services from Tim Reed for gophers, $25 and $50 each, as well as $549 per month, for pigeon control. Robin, tell us about those rodents.
This is a annual or every 2-year process that we go through. It's probably the most exciting thing you guys are gonna deal with tonight. So we have done business with Mr. Reed for several years, and he is very competent in doing his work and works very hard for us, and we recommend approval of this bid.
I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Renee and second from Councilman Norvstrup. Any questions? Jordan? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Councilman Johnson. Got ahead of myself.
Judging from the extra page there, this was the only bid received.
This is the only bid received, correct. We have had 2 bidders at times on some of these, but this time around, he's the only one.
Remind me, why is a pocket gopher double the striped?
A lot more work. You're snaring underground in a hole, and you have to cover the hole up to keep them from seeing light. So there's a lot more effort that goes into it.
Thank you.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the recommendation to accept bid for South Dakota Street Roadway Improvement Project from Reedy Construction for $2,637,276.20, and to authorize the city manager and finance officer to sign those necessary documents after it has been approved by our city attorney. Robin?
Here again, this was the only bid received. Reedy's have several projects in town, and this one fits into their schedule very well. They obviously wanted it, and a lot of the other contractors probably do not have the ability to move back and forth in and out of town to do this type of work, because it will require a paving train to do it. We anticipate this will take the whole summer again, similar to what we had last year with the previous piece to the north. It is slightly above engineer's estimate. It is interesting trying to pin down an estimate that makes sense, and we're comfortable that this one is a good bid that we want to move forward with, and we will have to adjust our projects just a little bit to make sure that we've got it, that we've got the money to pay for the project when it's all said and done. So.
And Robin, this one goes from the railroad tracks down to 6th Avenue.
Railroad Avenue to 6th Avenue, correct, yes.
On what street?
On Dakota.
Okay.
And what is the length of that piece of road?
Well, it's just short of a half a mile, so it's going to be 2,200 feet, something like that.
And how does this compare with were those 2 mile sections apiece, or were they each about a half a mile north?
Each a half mile.
Okay.
This one will have significantly more utilities on it than we had in the other ones, as well as a traffic signal. Actually, we're dealing with 2 traffic signals on this particular stretch versus none of those problems. We stopped short of 8th Avenue on both the other 2 projects, so really the traffic signals were not impacted on that at all. In this one, we've got 2 traffic signals on it. So.
Thank you, Robin. I take a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Let's get our motion underway. We jumped right into questions, but probably out of order a little bit. Someone care to carry this?
Moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Renee and second from Councilman Norvstrup, and now Councilwoman Fauberg. What have you got?
Can we talk about the intersection at 3rd/Milwaukee, right? And Dakota, will there be new right turn lanes because of the way that the train always backs up traffic there when you're trying to turn right? You're not supposed to drive through that credit union lot like some people who shall remain nameless may have.
We don't have the right of way to adjust the Milwaukee intersection. We would probably be buying part of the credit union lot in order to make that work. But the 3rd Avenue one will have a different layout for some of the right-hand turn lanes. Right now, you've got the little islands.
Yeah.
Those will go away, and we will be reconfiguring how the traffic moves through those areas with a dedicated right turn lane that will sweep off to the right. But we have more right-of-way available on that one than we do at Milwaukee.
So will there be a right turn lane at all 4 roads coming in?
No, just the two on the west side.
Or are there 2 right turn lanes on the west side? What am I missing?
On the Casey side, you're talking at
Yeah,
Third
okay.
Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where those
the
islands
north
are
and
at.
the south on the
Yes,
west side.
yes.
Okay. I was thinking coming from the west. I'm like, how do you have 2 right turn lanes coming from the west? Because I think it's frustrating to look at Roosevelt and 8th Avenue Northeast. There's only 1 right turn lane there, and there maybe could have been 4. Right, Rob? Don't you turn right onto 8th Avenue off Roosevelt?
Rarely, but I don't know if there's one or not.
No, there's only 1.
All right, anyone else from the council have any mental explorations to run through here this morning, or this evening, or whatever we're at? Man, this has been a meeting, huh? Jeez Louise.
No water.
Okay. Let's get this one done. Jordan, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thank you for joining us, Robin. Appreciate your input on those 2 items. Next, we've got the recommendation to accept bid for pretreatment basin improvements from the Northern Plains Contracting in the amount of $209,600, as well as authorize the city manager to sign it and all that stuff. Bob Braun is here to talk to us a little bit about that project. Bob, $209,600.
Yeah, we were fortunate, we had good 4 bids for this project. And they seem to be hungry for the work. I mean, we stretched, this is the rebid from the one larger project we had before. This is just taking care of the pumps and the belting inside the building that are wore out. We're fortunate, it's still 44 weeks to get pumps in after they decide on the final design specs. We gave a year for the project to actually be completed. Going in. So that helped to get people, more people interested, knowing they had the time and not having to worry about getting the equipment in.
Move to approve this bid.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, and a second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Does anyone have any questions for Bob? All right. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our review and approval of claims and payroll, the bills. Thanks for joining us, Bob. March 27th, of course, and our payroll is for the pay period of March 12th through the 25th. Can I get a motion to pay our claims and payroll, please?
So moved.
Got a motion from Councilman Liebelt, a second from Councilman Norvstrup. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our city manager's report. Joe, what have you got?
A couple things. One, we kind of talked about this last year a little bit, but we do our insurance through the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance and also our workman. And each year they have some awards and recognitions. And if you do really well and you don't hurt anything or anybody or tear anything up, you get a gold award. And that sounds pretty easy, but it's pretty difficult, especially in the public safety arenas. And last year, we shared with you that the fire department had met that level for 22. And then here a little while ago, the chief brought in that they've added a 23 to that. So they've done gold 2 years in a row. So that's pretty impressive. So when he brought this in to show it to me, I don't think he intended to give it to me, but I stole it.
Looks good on you.
And I just wanted to share it with you. And now I promise I will give it back to him. But that's great. I mean, those folks do great work. And then let's talk about our milestone anniversaries. We had 3 in the month of March. Emily Ellingson upstairs on the 3rd floor made 5 years. Darren Cleveland in Parks and Rec hit the 10-year mark. And Kyle Fadness in the police department hit 15 years. And we appreciate those folks and their dedication, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks, Chief Weig, for the continued work on that thing. Carl, I'll give you the floor for a couple moments if you've got anything to share with us. You waited all through that meeting. Keep it brief. We have a long meeting.
No, this will be real brief. We finished the session, we had 4 vetoes that we dealt with today, and the governors, all 4 of her vetoes withstood, the votes. So that's it. If you wanna know more, I have a card, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for joining us. Always good to see you. Next, we've got an executive session, so we would take a few moments to clear the room, and then we'll vote at that point to move to executive session to talk about a contract negotiation.